A Syrian Arab Army unit imposed full control on al-Sfira town in the Aleppo countryside after defeating the terrorists in their hideouts in the quarters of the city. The army found 6 workshops to make explosive devices, while the engineering units defused more than 700 such devices planted by the terrorists in the streets of the town. The army also confiscated 26 mortar cannons and large stores of heavy ammunition, in addition to heavy weapons of various kinds. The army destroyed heavy equipment, 35 vehicles carrying machine guns and 2 vehicles carrying anti-aircraft guns. The army also confiscated 3 rocket launchers, dozens of Grad missiles and very important documents.
Another new victory was achieved by the Syrian Arab Army in the battle against al-Qaeda. The Syrian Arab Army imposed full control in the strategic town of Sbeineh, which used to be the capital of the terrorists in the southeastern countryside of Aleppo and the point of contact with the Turkish border. The Syrian Arab Army units infiltrated the ranks of the terrorists and stationed themselves in strategic points. The importance of Sbeineh came from its largeness and population. It is described as the eastern gate of Aleppo, Syria's economic capital. The army thus achieved a series of goals, including the consolidation of the armed forces in the north, directing a heavy blow to the terrorists because this town was their operations room, securing the highway from Aleppo to Deir ez-Zor through Al-Raqqa, securing the large industrial and agricultural institutions in that region, and protecting the electric power station, feeding Aleppo with more than 1,000 megawatts. The Syrian Arab Army also preserved the security of the highway between Aleppo and Hama. This great achievement opened the gates for attacking the positions of the terrorists in the eastern parts of Aleppo.
After the Syrian Arab Army unit controlled the Safirah town in the southeast Aleppo countryside, the people of Al-Waha celebrated the restoration of security and stability and the defeat of the terrorists in al-Safirah. The people said that they suffered a great deal from the crimes of the terrorists entrenched in al-Safirah. The terrorists fired mortar shells and locally made rockets, killing and wounding many innocent victims. The people asserted their determination to continue to support the army against all terrorist gangs until security and stability are restored throughout Syria. A Syrian Arab Army unit destroyed groups and hideouts of terrorists in Homs and its countryside, killing and wounding many of them in addition to destroying their equipment. Terrorists were defeated in Bab Houd, while other terrorists were chased in Al-Qusur. Other Syrian Arab Army units inflicted heavy losses in terrorist groups in several villages. They also chased the remaining terrorist gangs in the area of Mahin. They confiscated mortar shells, machine guns, and large amounts of different ammunition. The army also defused 17 explosive devices prepared for detonation by remote control along the highway of Sadad Mahin in order to block the progress of our armed forces. In Deir ez-Zor, the Syrian Arab Army achieved important progress after controlling the Faculty of Arts in Al-Furat University. The army carried out a series of operations against the terrorist hideouts in various quarters, killing many terrorists, including Ahmed Saleh al-Khlif, Abdel Salam Isa, and Al-Ahmed and Hassan Eid. In Barzeh, Syrian armed forces continued their progress and gained full control on the general establishment of printed materials, the Syrian educational channel, and destroyed a tunnel that was used by terrorists to move and convey weapons and ammunition. After the armed forces and national defense elements removed the besieged civilian citizens from al-Mu'addamiyya, they began their military operation in this town, which was occupied by al-Nusra terrorist gangs. The Syrian Arab Army unit made strategic progress in this area in the Damascus countryside. The Syrian Arab Army units achieved great progress in chasing terrorists in the town of Sbeineh in the southern countryside of Damascus, thus cleaning up the industrial area through destroying several terrorist groups and their hideouts. Syrian Arab Army units eliminated today armed terrorist groups, killing all their members in Damascus. Countryside and dalla foiled their attempts to detonate explosive devices and to attack military posts and seized documents and passports for different non-Syrian terrorists. Syrian Arab Army units repelled terrorist attacks on military points on al-Salam highway between Qatana and al-Nusra, killing many terrorists. Other Syrian Arab Army units destroyed terrorist hideouts in Khan Sheikh and the farms of Bijin, Hosh al-Abbasiyya and Hine in Damascus countryside. Also, the army foiled attempts by terrorist groups to infiltrate from the village of al-Hardin into Kanakir, killing most of the terrorists and seizing documents and passports for terrorists holding the Jordanian and Tunisian citizenships, as well as leaflets by al-Nusra that include instructions on the way of preparing explosive devices and belts, bombs, dynamite and fuses for detonating the explosives. In Dalla, units of the Syrian Arab Army killed many terrorists in the town of Atman on the old road of Damascus, Dalla.